The Fresno Fiber Arts was established in 1972 and has been committed to the advancement of fiber arts as a serious and distinctive art form. The Guild's purpose is to encourage exploration of artistic fiber techniques through education and outreach. Members meet monthly here in Fresno. Guests and students are welcome and may attend the lecture program for a small fee. For information, please see us on the web at www.fresnofiberartsguild.org or see us on Facebook. Please come and join us.
Tracy and Kara Lavoda. They live in Montana, therefore they were called fashionistas from Montana. Unfortunately, I think we have an addition up there. Sabrina's here. You'll see more of her later. But unfortunately, since they live in Montana, they couldn't, at the last minute, couldn't make the trip. So we wanted to show you these anyway. Carol had to count on measurements sent to her by Tracy from Montana for both dresses, and that was quite a challenge. Tracy was a French major in college and is teaching French to Kara, who is 3.5 years old. So Carol wanted fabric that would show their love of French language and of Paris. This border fabric was cut off to use the bottom on Tracy's dress only. After that, there was only 37 inches left in the width, and although she had 4 yards of it, it was a challenge cutting out 2 dresses, so she had to piece together enough for Tracy's dress. Both are accented with a solid color belt, and we had a special sparkly headband that Kara was going to, oh yes, you should put that on, Desiree. Sabrina, I mean. Get you and your mom mixed up. Thank you, girls. We love having little kids on the show, and we're disappointed she couldn't make it. Here's Joyce again, on a Malibu vacation. The robin egg blue 5/8" wide strips of purchased bias fabric were stitched to water-soluble stabilizer that had been cut to form a jacket pattern. This product is wash away and it disintegrates when water touches it. First they were stitched on horizontally, then vertically, and finally the edges bound. After the stabilizer was completely covered, the jacket pieces were sewn together and then washed and dried, thereby rattling and causing the chenille effect. The blouse was from a self-draped pattern, and these pants were from a custom pattern drafted by one of our Guild guest artists, Connie Crawford. That means that it was fitted to the body by draping, I think. Sound right? Okay. Marlene's creativity is shown in her jacket entitled Intersections. She took a class at Asilomar with the idea of making random cuts and to chop things up before putting them together to make a wall hanging. Well, the instructions were to bring the fabrics you love, but that's not advice Marlene was willing to take. Marlene believes in knowing what she's doing when she cuts into loved fabric. So she took unloved fabric, being a student of the school that makes silk purses out of sow's ears. So after the class and working at home with those unloved fabrics, they just seemed to talk to her and said what they wanted to do, resulting in this attractive jacket. She admits, however, that she added the sleeve fabric after being quite attracted to it. So sometimes when we start a project, the contents speak to us to create something other than what we start with. Very unusual. Thank you. After many visits to the ocean and collecting shells, it seems only natural that Valerie Kistler would put this love into a fabric statement appropriately called By the Sea. Her vest features an embroidery technique to add texture and height to the motif, in this case, the seashells. Usually in trapunto embroidery, 2 pieces of fabric are stitched with the motif. Then the underlayer is sliced and batting stuffed inside. Valerie used a different approach in this case. She used a cotton cording stitched around by hand with the colored threads to form the shape lined the jacket, and she was done. This is a good example of what I talked about in the beginning about enhancing fabric by adding those embellishments. The hat and purse are upcycled items. The straw wheat hat band is made from produce bags. The shells were a product of Mother Nature. Color play. A felted cape and twirly batik skirt was produced by Bernice Darnell. Her inspiration was the violet-covered pashmina shawl her neighbor Marilyn gave her for feeding her cat while she was in New York. Bernice already had the green shawl, about the same size, and wondered what would happen if she felted the two pieces together. This result was the marriage of the two colors in both sides. The felting was done on Bernice's baby lock embellisher. I believe we have one of those similar in the raffle back there, using multiple needles with tiny barbs which binds the two fabrics together. She finished it with serging the entire outline with decorative thread, then zigzagged the sides together to form the sleeves. Fortunately, Bernice found fabrics to coordinate in her stash and made this twirly batik skirt. Come on, let's see you twirl, Bernice. There you go. So she soaked the finished skirt in a bucket. The color play comes into effect because the colors seemed much too bright. So she soaked the finished skirt in a bucket of bleach water, and some very unusual orange and browns appeared. The last possibility for saving the skirt was to re-dye it to match the cape. Hard to believe she had a color remover and a soft green dye in the closet, and thought, why not? After following, don't you all finish something and dump it in bleach? After following the package directions and pressing the skirt, here's the result. Actually had a t-shirt in the mix, but it didn't turn out so well after being bleached out and re-dyed. And so it has provided her with dust cloths for many years, while the LL Bean turtleneck makes the walk. Bernice attended a bead group with a friend one Saturday where she made the necklace. It's quite a project. Cindy returns in her Japanese tea garden shirt and pants. She deconstructed 3 vintage Japanese kimonos by painstakingly removing thousands of silk stitches from Asian garments that were hand-stitched 50 to 75 years ago. Then she sliced away moth holes and stains. Cindy artfully placed the kimono fabrics together before cutting out the pattern pieces for the shirt. She embellished the collar closure with an Asian-style carved bone button. The loose-fitting skirt has a square collar and a front band that folds over to the outside to create a hidden closure and finish the cuffs with top stitching. Cindy's drapey stretch knit pants are from a pattern from TV's sewing celebrity Sandra Betsina. They are one-seam yoga-style pants and are loose-fitting through the hips, have a waistband, and inside leg drape. She states that these are the most comfortable pants I own. I say, you can't touch this. Indeed, the beautiful shades of color you see here remind us of Wine and Roses in this jacket by Catherine Pennell. Catherine has been a student in Shirley's School of Sewing and Fiber Arts, operated by our member, Shirley Gambaro. She decided she wanted to copy an exercise jacket she owned using a t-shirt and stretch lace with the intention of using her new Janome 1200D serger, which had cover stitch similar to the hems on purchased knit shirts. Well, she laid the fabric on top of the jacket, chalked out the design, and started cutting it out. Then she pinned it to a dress form and thought, wow, this is going to look great when I'm finished. Now to start sewing it together. Is this the right one for this? Okay. I got confused. She's got another one that's wonderful too. Now to start sewing it together, she didn't have any instructions. So it was time to consult with Shirley. Following Shirley's lead, she started sewing, then realized she had not purchased a zipper. She experienced many more challenges, but is very pleased with the finished product. She says, I now know why patterns are a good idea, because they've already worked out all the kinks, and they have directions. Good job on your own. It's pure creativity on Joyce's part to add an unusual vest to her bias cut skirt. The bias cut results in an interesting V-shaped striped pattern on the center of the skirt. The vest was inspired by a Threads magazine article several years ago. Joyce made bias cut tubes and laid them on a vest that she already had, pinned them at the intersections, and hand-stitched the intersections together. At each crossover, joining them required lots of stitching, but having a broken foot last summer provided her with a lot of sitting and stitching time with it elevated. Longtime member Ruth Gadavish could be on her way to church in this coordinated dress and jacket entitled Spring Sunday, perfect for tomorrow morning. Her dress is a modified bow pattern from silk purchased some time ago. The jacket pattern has been used many times and the fabric was purchased this spring. Ruth states that her favorite wardrobe technique is at least 2 sets of jacket, dress, and pants in coordinating fabrics to mix and match. If you noticed before the runway show and during the luncheon, she was wearing the opposite pair to this outfit. I assume that means your skirt fabric was in the top or the jacket you wore, and vice versa. Great, she's got lots of changes in those types of ensembles. Carol Porosnik presents Purple Haze and another jacket made from cotton bias sewn on the pattern made from water-soluble stabilizer. Like Joyce did, Carol sewed the bias tape on, sewed the pieces together, and then washed it 4 or 5 times to get the fuzzy results of the chenille. She says it is very comfortable and very lightweight. This class was held last year at the Guild and resulted in beautiful and practical garments. The guest artist who taught the class is a published author, Nanette Holmberg. Here's another form of photo, and worn here by Cleo. I hope Carol didn't chicken out after that performance. No, this was always planned. Cleo Bauer wears it here. Carol, using 3 layers of black ren, used a slightly different approach to chenille. Carol used 3 layers of black rayon, sandwiched with red tie-dye fabric and metallic yarns. She then stitched all the layers on the bias and cut between the stitching rows to only the bottom layer. Then, after washing and drying, the chenille blooms by rattling to create the fuzzy effect. Carol made the vest for her daughter, Joy, a professional flame work glass artist. Joy wanted something to wear to exhibits and shows which would highlight some of her work. The example is the bead closure tied onto the vest at the bottom of the V neckline and changed for different color accents. The vest can be worn on either side. The vest is a practical background to display beautiful glass pieces, and if this was reversed, you would see more of the red accents. Very attractive. Janice is back with a casual day vest and matching pants. She wanted to develop a vest pattern to embellish with various techniques. She gives credit to Shirley and Barrow, who helped alter this pattern. The self-lined vest is made from a rayon polyester fabric with a good drape. Janice is an avid machine embroidery fan, here using complementary colors in the motifs and couch lines. I see the embroideries. Very pretty. Love that part too. Cindy returns with tangerine taffy trio coat, blouse, and skirt. Cindy won a yard and 2/3 of tangerine poppy wool cashmere fabric from a guild meeting raffle. That fabric inspired this 3-piece ensemble. She made the skirt first and used scraps to trim the coat and matching blouse. The loose-fitting unlined coat has raglan sleeves and a versatile collar that can be worn straight up, folded down, or asymmetrically. Notice the matching cuffs and colored buttons on the front and above the side slits of the hemline. Cindy designed pleated patch pockets with asymmetrical flaps. The loose-fitting pullover blouse has a bias neck binding, and yoke of the tangerine poppy-colored wool. The sleeve cuffs have snap closures, and the comfortable flowing top is finished with a shaped hemline. The pencil skirt had a bottom straight line with a cute feminine flounce at the bottom. Desert Denim by Joyce is an example of her ability in fitting jeans. She honestly makes her own jeans, and you would never guess they're not purchased. In this case, she found some denim in her stash, which had been there a long time. When she unfolded it, she found fold marks and decided that it would fit right in with today's current fashion of store-bought funky jeans. Her detailing is amazing, and it's hard to imagine they aren't purchased. The sleeveless jacket was made from Butterick 5941 without the sleeves and with a zipper instead of buttons. She wanted to top stitch next to the zipper, but her sewing machine couldn't sew through that many layers. I think it's perfect just the way it is. Her t-shirt was purchased. You all saw the results of the Shirt Off Its Back challenge. Hopefully you saw in the exhibits the results of the brass hula skirt challenge also. Now we'll see the entries in the You Need to Spend Money to Make Money, which required participants to get something at a thrift store, yard sale, flea market, or even your own closet and repurpose it into something new, spending no more than $10. Anything taken from your existing stash or supplies did not count in the $10. If you needed some notion, you could barter with other members, but anything you had to buy counted in the $10 limit. Remember I said before that these challenges were presented by Laura Wheeler, who shows her entry entitled Latte on the Seine. Her story states that late in the afternoon along the Seine, Laura searches to find that quaint little bistro where she is supposed to meet up with her travel companions for a latte. She isn't worried because looking good just makes the adventure more fun. The classic black and white outfit started out with the eyelet skirt found at a thrift store for $4. Because it was too short and 2 sizes too big, she altered it to fit and used polka dot georgette to add length and flounce to the hem. This fabric was purchased at a guild bargain table for $3. The remaining polka dot fabric was used to make the blouse and then to embellish the sweater with bias strips in a chenille technique, quite popular these days, huh? With scrap, she created a removable pocket trim for the $1 vintage purse. The hat was formerly a sunbonnet from the dollar store. It was taken apart and re-sewn into its current shape. All of the added jewelry was made, of course, by Laura. Bonjour, Laura. We hope you find your friends and have that latte. You could probably use all the money you saved to buy a round. Susan Bellamy's answer to the jacket is thrift shop redraped. The silk jacket was found in a second-hand shop and was a gift from a friend. It still had the tags on it for being new. It was 3/4 length jacket and had large open sleeves that were completely out of style for her. It took on a new life with 8 inches being cut off the bottom and the edging removed and reapplied to the bottom. The sleeves were taken up at the side seams almost 3 inches. However, the sleeve length was then too short, so the facings were taken down and turned into self-ruffle. The dress fabric was chosen to enhance the jacket and was found in the drapery section. The neck piece was based on cloth paper scissors article using a necktie. Her son-in-law provided this one, which he never wore. The leaves were solder iron cut, using a solder iron, from the same fabric as the dress. The flower was velvet from her stash, as were the button and sequins, beads, etc. Sylvia Owens is a master of making patternless jackets and coats, but in this case, it was the reverse. Her daughter, Sally Owens, modeled south of the border vest, which was formerly a jacket purchased on clearance at Ross for $10. It was too small for Sylvia, that's hard to believe, but she so loved the fabric that she bought it. She took off the collar, took out the sleeves, and eliminated the buttons at the front, resulting in this attractive vest. I agree with Sylvia that sometimes, even in ready-wear, the actual fabric screams out to you. That's why so many of us purchase fabric that appeals to us with not a plan whatsoever of what to make from it. Sometimes it even remains in our stash for many years. Thanks, Sally. I can't believe it if Laura comes out right now. Laura Wheeler, oh my God, is that a fast change or what? Laura Wheeler is looking forward to next winter and spending a day in Yosemite, enjoying vistas, watching for deer, and sipping hot chocolate. Here we go with another story. This gray vest started out off its life as a size small turtleneck. When the original owner got tired of it, Laura picked it up for a song at Goodwill as part of her $10 recycling challenge. First, she removed the turtleneck and converted it to a removable neck wrap. The sweater remained too small and too short, so to solve that issue, the sleeves were removed and repieced into the body of the vest. Stay with me now. A long sleeve striped t-shirt was also purchased that day with the intent of using it for trim on the vest. With careful cutting of the body of the tee, the sleeves were salvaged intact. They were then attached to an existing gray t-shirt to finish off the look. You are amazing. Claudia couldn't resist a challenge. So, she bought this raincoat for $1. Of course, it didn't look like that at the time. She couldn't resist a challenge, so she bought the raincoat for $1 at the Assistant League thrift store. At the time, all of her supplies were in storage, so she used what she could find to splatter it, namely with black ink and interior trim paint, resulting in "It's a Pollock," referring to Jackson Pollock's art. The skirt was on its way to the thrift store when it got painted with a high-gloss Rust-Oleum enamel. She hung it from the ceiling and just let it flow and drip down. The t-shirt was a compilation of scraps of old t-shirts cut apart, re-sewn together with some black scraps, and using a regular sewing machine and serger, she made the new look. Then they were re-sewn into this new t-shirt. That's fabulous, Claudia. I'm wondering if you ever buy fabric, Claudia. You just recycle, okay? Carol Perozzi's response to the challenge is Western Roses, here modeled by her granddaughter, Sabrina Torres. If you were here 2 years ago, you saw the kimonos that originated in the Guild Workshop taught by Stephanie Kimura. At that time, she had with her several Levi jeans skirts that she had repurposed, and they were for sale. But fellow member Julie Mott donated some jeans to anyone in the class who wanted them. So Carol took home a few pairs but didn't know what she was going to do with them. Then this challenge came along, so she bought a dress at the Clovis Hines Hospice thrift store, cut it off, and attached it to a pair of jeans after having cut off the legs of the jeans. Then she embroidered roses on the front of the jeans and attached the cut-off skirt to the bottom of the jeans by gathering it to make a full skirt shown here. So don't throw your old jeans away, because this is a great idea to get a whole new look out of them. Don't ask me how Laura does it, with such quick changes. Did you make it? Oh, bigger. Okay, Don't ask me how Laura does it with such quick changes. The answer may be why she comes up with so many creations. She's just a fast worker. She remembers that her father had a special song, as I did for my grandchildren. He had a special song for each of his daughters. "You Are My Sunshine" was her particular song growing up, and why she decided to hand stamp the lyrics across this 100% linen coat found at the thrift store and purchased for a mere $5. Laura spent the remainder of the $10 budget on thread for alterations and acrylic paint to use in her extensive rubber stamp collection. Not one to under-accessorize, she made copper jewelry to highlight the warm tones in the ensemble. A coat is not a complete outfit unless you're a flasher, so choosing not to appear indecent, Laura left the challenge criteria to make this leopard print dress and added the modified vest.